Hey, if you've heard of Scrivener, but its complexity kind of intimidates you, then you're in luck. I'm going to be breaking down Scrivener into little digestible bites so you can maximize this software to write amazing stories. Hey friends, let's talk about Scrivener, specifically the Preferences window sharing tab. And by talk, I mean I talk, and you leave comments down below. Ask me questions or tell me about your favorite Scrivener features. So let's get into the Preferences window, the Sharing tab. So here we go in the Import section, the Import side. If you're importing from rich text, this is where you kind of set up what's going to get imported. So do we want to import comments as inline annotations? You can do that, and then you'll have a whole bunch of automatic inline annotations throughout your import. And then footnotes as footnotes and endnotes as inline footnotes. And if you don't check this, then they will just come in as regular external footnotes and endnotes. If your rich text has been styled somehow, you can choose to ignore that style. Or you can, if this is unchecked, then it will consider the style and it will import as much of that style as it can. And then if you want to update the styles in your pasted text to match the styles in here, keep that checked. And if you are uploading from plain text, then when you're uploading from the plain text, if you want to automatically change it to a certain font, click that, and then we come in here and change the font. These are the kind of what Scrivener considers to be plain text, .log, .md, .mmd, .markdown, that kind of thing. And if you want to, if you're importing plain text that's not one of these file extensions, you can add a new file extension right here. So you just hit that, you can add a new one, and I'm not going to add a new one because I use XML. I don't use anything else. So yeah. So that's plain text. That's the things you consider plain text. Now HTML. So if you're importing something from a website that's an HTML file, then you can either convert them to web archives, which we've kind of talked about that the website viewing capability of Scrivener before, or just as text. So whichever one of those strikes your fancy, pick that. And you can import or convert the imported web pages to text automatically by hitting that button. OPML is kind of the same thing. So when you bring that in, you can have it import as a synopsis or notes, which are right here. So here's a synopsis and notes right here. Or it can just be in your main text, which is in here over in the editor. And then, or you can create a completely separate folder that will hold all the imported OPML items. And Scapple, if you use the program Scapple, you can import the first lines of those notes as titles only. So if you drag Scapple notes into Scrivener, just by default, the first lines of each note will kind of make the binder title for each item, if that makes sense. So if you import a text document, and when it pops up over here, it will, whatever the first line is of that Scapple note will be the title over here. But if you enable this option, that first line of text will be, it's the title, but it will be taken out of the main text. So it will only be the title. So if I imported a Scapple note that said, tomorrow is a brand new day, then it would, and I had this checked, then it would show up only as tomorrow's a brand new day. And then the rest of the body would go on after that. But if I leave this unchecked, then it will say as the title, tomorrow's a brand new day. And then in the text itself, it will start off with tomorrow's a brand new day, if that makes sense. All right, so that's enough of import. Let's pop over to export. So exporting into rich text, and a lot of this is going to be stuff that for the general Scrivener user you're not going to really care about. You're going to be like, whatever the defaults are, that's fine. But if you if you are exporting and something is bugging you about it and you can't figure out how to change it in like the compile menu, then this might be where you want to come in order to kind of fiddle with that. So resolution for PDF images converted to PNG when you are exporting, and you can change that resolution in here. So, and what this means is that when you are exporting, compiling, whatever into, and you have a PDF image in your Scrivener, it will convert it to PNG just because embedded PDF images aren't necessarily supported everywhere. So it just automatically makes everything a PNG. And this is how you can determine how great your resolution is when you export it out. And converting underscores to underlines when converting Markdown. So convert underscores to underlines when converting Markdown. So for those of you who have never used converted into rich text and stuff like that before, in a lot of cases, if you have something in here that's underlined, the kind of coding behind that, the way that it is marked will, kind of behind the scenes, that metadata will convert into rich text as italics instead of as underlines. So keeping this checked means that when you export, it will export as an underline instead of as an italic, because you want it to be underlined, not italicized, etc. So that's just what that means. And it's default set like this, so I would recommend leaving it unless you really want all of your underlines to turn into italics. Moving on. In the .rtf kind of file name, and this only applies if you're using Nisus Writer, which is a separate program. So if you use this, then this is relevant to you. If not, just whatever, skip ahead in this video. But it will add the names. If you have images in here, it will add the image file names. So that's checked. If you don't want that, uncheck it. And do not include style sheet information is unchecked, so you do include your style sheet information. So any styles we have applied over here will transfer over when you export it to something else. And if you want it to just transfer as regular unstyled text, then you hit that. So if you're taking it out to HTML, so if you use this program to write blog posts, websites, etc. The document type, this is just whatever type of document you're using for your particular blog or website. And if you don't know, just leave it at this top one, because that's kind of the general. It's older, but it works with more kind of things. And then styling, if you're using CSS and it's embedded versus inline versus no CSS, so whatever your particular website uses. And then preserving white space. So if you leave a bunch of white space because you want to add an image in or something like that, or you have ads and you want to leave room for your ads, then make sure that this is clicked. MultiMarkdown your language, so just change it to whichever language that you want your markdown to be in. And then JPEG Compression. So when you've got an image in here that's a JPEG and you're exporting it, how much compression do you want? Do you want no compression at all, or do you want the most compression you can possibly get? And this is basically just for file size. So if you compress the crap out of it, it's a smaller file size, and it's better for like web, online stuff, because there's less processing has to go into loading it. But if you need a lot of detail and you need it to be a larger file size, then throw it over here, don't compress it. It's default set in the middle, and I feel like that's probably a safe bet. All right, the sync. So if you are syncing, so this program right now that you're seeing is on my computer, but I also have an iPad which has the Scrivener app on it. And so I sync across both of them so that if I do something on my Scrivener app on my iPad, it will sync into my computer. And so yeah, this is where you control that kind of thing. Mobile sync. So place documents affected by sync into a synced documents collection. And that is automatically checked, and it just makes them easier to find. Or if you don't want this to save space or something like that, uncheck it. Automatically show the synced documents collection after a sync. What will happen is that after you sync, can I sync in here? No, I can't. Well, after I sync, my binder over here will be replaced by a collections kind of option. Can I show my collections? Okay. So a collection is basically, and I haven't talked about collections yet, I don't think. Collection is basically like a super search or like a saved search. So if I automatically show the sync documents collection, then so any of my sync documents get added into this collection thing, this search. And so if I check this, whenever I sync, they'll automatically show up over here. And it's just a way for me to see exactly what just synced in. Yeah. And take snapshots before updating documents if you are concerned with having messed something up. Then you can take this and it will take those snapshots so that if you're updating in your, on your iPad, then it's not replacing things on your computer irreversibly. Or like in my case, if your kids get a hold of your iPad and open up your Scrivener program and start messing with it, whatever they do, it's okay. I took snapshots. I can just revert back. It's fine. And then you can check for changes however often you want. And as I usually do in these videos, this is all the default. So this is default how it sets up. So removing style sheet information when syncing with the folder. I would recommend leaving this unchecked. This is really only if you in particular hate style sheets and want to make sure that absolutely nothing has style attached to it. So because that's what it'll do. It will just kind of obliterate all of your style. So I would leave that unchecked. And then convert text inside these guys and these guys to inline notes when you're syncing your plain text, so that you can still have inline annotations of footnotes as plain text, or when you're exporting a plain text. So that's kind of cool. All right, finally, conversion. Enhanced converters for Microsoft Word and OpenOffice. And this is, so Scrivener's internal kind of format is RTF, is what Scrivener operates in. So your Scrivener stuff will be internally is RTF, whereas with Microsoft it's like doc or docx and that kind of thing. So when it's converting over, we want to use our enhanced converters just to make sure that everything kind of carries. Or if you're using Java, you want to make sure that that is checked so that you can use Java-based converters. And this is mostly important for as far as speed is concerned. So as you can see, the enabling Java makes things slower, but it is better formatting fidelity. It will take longer to convert your Scrivener project into a docx or OpenOffice, but you won't lose, you'll lose fewer features during the conversion. And if you use Word 2011, click that, and this is not changeable. So if we unclick use enhanced converters, then we can change it in here. So using your standard doc exporter or an RTF based doc exporter. But I would recommend just leaving this checked so that you've got, like I said, again, it takes a little bit longer, but it's the enhanced converters and you're going to have better features switching over. So that was boring, but the sharing is important if you're exporting and importing a lot. So if you're importing or exporting and things are weird and you're like, dang it, how do I fix this? And you can't really find anything in the compile, come in here and kind of poke around, and maybe this is where you're going to find your solution. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you learned something new about how to share your Scrivener stuff. And if you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Wash your hands. Black Lives Matter. Have a nice day.